Hey everybody, I am so excited to have Liana Mar here. She's going to be talking to us about how she went from a little virtual assistant all the way into a six-figure agency. And I'm excited to hear how long it took her, what kind of things attributed to her success, and all the tips that she can give all of us. So first, to start out with, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what your life was like before you started pursuing your virtual assistant adventure.
Yeah, so my name is Liana Davila. I am an Army brat and I have a background in marketing. I've done a lot of moving around in my life, but I've also done a lot of like marketing agency hopping. Before I was in the marketing agency, kind of like the corporate world, I was also a TV reporter. So feel like I've had a lot of lives to look at where
Cool.
I am now. So like many of us, my big adventures started the pandemic. The pandemic came. I was working specifically in event marketing. And when all the events stopped, my life came to a halt. I was already kind of knowing that I wanted to do something a little bit different because even in the marketing corporate world, there's a lot of volatility. It's very client based. I had been laid off 3 times in 3 years. So that's why I was like
Yeah.
agency hopping, right? And one of my last agencies was like a small one. I even had thoughts before of like, think that I could do this. And I was more in the event marketing space, but I dabbled with like our digital marketing team. So like the online world was always very interesting to me. And, one of my big goals in life was to move back to Puerto Rico, which is where I am from. And that needed a flexible job, which I did not have. Mine was very location based. I had to live in a big city where like all these marketing agencies were based out of, and I had to be flexible to fly around all over the country and sometimes the world, which sounds way cooler than it is, for these events. So when events were over and everything came to a screeching halt, and I think it was March 2020, I was laid off like Friday, March 13th, to just to be comical around about all of it. And I told myself I was going to give myself like a couple of days to like be sad about myself. And I think like that Monday, my sister had been on your email list actually, and she forwarded one of your emails to me. She was like, "Hey sissy, I think this could be interesting to you." And I was like, what is this like virtual assistant world? And started going down your rabbit hole. And I think not even like 7 days later, I was like, add to cart, like, I'm doing this. I got to figure out how to do something. Cause I had been going down like the YouTube rabbit hole, and I was like, a little bit more of like direction and structure. And yeah, so that was the beginning of my journey.
And when you say you joined, that was she's talking about my 90-day VA program
Yes.
that takes you from zero to hero, virtual assistant in 90 days or less. You can complete it as fast as you want. Okay, so pandemic happened, and it's so interesting because I feel like this happened to a lot of people.
Mhm.
It wasn't just about getting fired. It was almost like people had to like reevaluate their whole life. It was like, well, why am I doing this job? Do I want to do this job? I don't actually have to go into work. What would that mean for me? And it sounds like that was what happened for you too. It was like, why do I want to keep doing this? Do I want to keep living here?
Yeah. Yeah, I was already at the point where I was so burnt out with like the constant traveling that the event industry has you on. And like, I wanted, the freedom. I wanted to be my own boss. And I really like thrive under pressure and with challenges. And I was like, I could totally do this, right? And I know like from the beginning, I always knew that I wanted to build like a business, a team, an agency. I think as soon as I like looked over like all your different modules, I was like, I do this. Like, I've been on the inside of like small agencies. And, I think almost immediately when I got to like the social media marketing module, I was like, oh yeah, like I think this is gonna be the thing that I pursue. But I did start out as a virtual assistant, just providing like everything under the sun, like a lot of us do, just everything around digital marketing. Do you want me to go into my first client?
I would love that. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your first client, how you got them, how long it took you to get them, and like what are the kinds of things that you did for them. And one thing that I want to point out to you is I love that you had a background that came into this.
Mhm.
But you can also tell people too, like, let's talk a little bit about like what stuff was still new for you? Because a lot of people don't have a background. So
Yeah, no, everything that you taught was basically like I had maybe heard of, but like I didn't know the specifics of, because marketing in general, right, is a huge umbrella, and digital marketing is a huge umbrella under marketing, and then everything underneath
online
digital
business is even its own, online small business is even its own thing.
yeah, it's so wild. There's just like so much. So I think, some people like see everything that there is and could get overwhelmed, right? But some people niche down, some people don't want to niche down. So when no, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
So when I started in March. I want to say it was honestly, I was determined. So my mindset in that moment was, how long is my like, to be completely honest, how much is my unemployment going to last?
Yeah.
And how much is my savings going to last? So I think I did the math, and I think I was like, I have 6 months. I have 6 months to figure something out. And I made the investment in 90-day Yay, and I was like, this is gonna work. So I was like, I specifically remember like binging as much, obviously, like I skipped the blog module because that's the one that everybody skips. But I did all of them, but I did some of it. I did a lot of my homework. I submitted like my portfolio pieces. I was on it. I binged it. I want to say it probably took me like a week or two. Like I specifically remember writing a message in your Facebook community saying like, oh, I accidentally like binged all of it. And so many people were like, oh, I was like, I don't know. I was determined. I needed to figure something out. So
you're not the first person who's done that, by the way.
What?
You're not the first person who's done that. One of my still best friends now, she started as a student in the program, and she's did the same thing. She's like, I just binge watched it for 2 weeks and did all my homework and was done. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, I got to figure something out. And also, like, I wanted to get through everything because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to like or what I'm going to dislike. And I got to try all the things and like narrow them down. So, my partner at the time had like a friend that has her own kind of like motorcycle enthusiast community. This is so random too. And they were like, they're gonna come over for like dinner. I think she could totally use your services. You should pitch her the services while she's here at dinner. And like, I totally did not want to bring it up and was totally shy about it. But I did it, and I was she like spoon fed it to me. She sat down and she was talking about like all the things she needed help with, and a lot of them were like digital marketing. She did need like newsletter management. I managed her website. I started managing her social media. So I did a little bit of everything, even like some assistant things and like emailing and responding to her emails, managing her inbox. So I did so many things. So after I kind of ripped off that Band-Aid, I just started pitching myself. So I would probably say that was like my first paid client, and that probably happened around June. So between March and June, I was also pitching other people, but they were like strangers, right? Not strangers. So what I did, there were people that I hadn't spoken to a long time. So I went into my sorority Facebook group and started figuring out like who has an online business.
Yes.
And I think I narrowed it down to like 5 or 6. And I was like, and I just pitched all of them. One of them said yes, my services for free. I was like, and I took your advice. I was very detailed about like what I was going to offer. And I was like, I am offering XYZ for this limited amount. And I was very clear that I am trying to build this business. I want these as portfolio pieces. After X amount of time, if you like my work, we will reevaluate to see if you want to continue. If not, I'm going to stop, right? Like this is not like free for fun forever.
Yeah. So I did. The internship really has to benefit both parties, and you don't want to get taken advantage of. But also, I think a lot of people are like, I'm not going to work for free. I'm like, why? Everybody does it.
Yeah, no, and I was so thankful for your modules about like, I mean, you have a lot of like mindset modules around that were super helpful. And it was just like, you gave me everything that I needed. And I was so thankful for that. And I followed your lead 100, maybe 90%, right? And I was like, I'm doing this. This has to work. So I had like my one virtual assistant client that I was kind of doing everything, but I immediately was like, I know that I want to niche down into social media. So I only started pitching my social media services to like friends and family. I emailed a bunch of people, I Facebook message, I Instagram message. And that landed me with like, I want to say 3 portfolio pieces for social media. It's like my old friend that is a lawyer, my friend that's an influencer and has like a bathing suit line, and then it was one more that I can't remember. And then I had like my motorcycle enthusiast. So those were like my first kind of 4 clients. And once I got in, honestly, I didn't even wait till the end of my contracts for free. As soon as I created things, I was like, this is cute enough to put in my portfolio. I started pitching paid, you know? And I honestly want to say I was probably charging like $300 a month for social media management, which it's a place to start, right? There's no right or wrong way to do this. You just got to start. And then from there, you can keep going up. And every single person that I pitched next, I would just raise my prices, raise my prices, raise my prices. And yeah, the motorcycle client ended up staying with me for, I want to say almost 2 years.
Wow.
As time went on, I started removing more virtual assistant tasks and adding more social media. And then I ended up only doing her social media. And then we decided to part ways, but she was with me for 2 years, and that was like first client ever. So I was very proud of that.
Yeah, that's a really great milestone to have. That's like what's the word? Like a metric, a success metric that I use too, is like people who retention that I have for team members on my team as a business owner. But like, if you think about it for yourself too, like clients that want to stay with me and want to stick with me, like that's a metric of success. It's not always about money, and it's not always about like all the other things that people might tell you. That's a really big deal. Okay, so let's do the timeline. Join 90 Day ABA in March, and then by June you had your portfolio clients. And then what was the timeline?
Payment for work for the first time.
June was when you got paid for work for the first time. That's great. That's like so fast. March, April, May, June. Yeah. See, 90 Day ABA.
There you go. Exactly.
Okay. Now tell me a little bit about, this was just the beginning. You guys we've made a huge, big life change since this all happened. So what does life look like now? What are you doing now? What kinds of big life changes have you made because of being a virtual assistant and like the world that it opened up to you?
Yeah, so I mean, definitely life changing. So I mentioned at the beginning that one of like my goals, it was kind of like in a back burner, was to move back to Puerto Rico and like get to know my roots more and just like live in a tropical island, right? So because of the business that I had built, it allowed me the freedom to like get up and move. And I never thought that that was even gonna like be an option. But all of a sudden, I think so that was March, maybe the next March or April, I was like, wait a minute. I was in LA at the time. I was like, wait a minute, why do I still live in LA? Like, I move. Like, my business was running well by then. I was bringing on my first team member. So now I live in Puerto Rico full time. I've been living in Puerto Rico for 2 years, which I never thought that I would be able to say that. I love it. I have a team of about 7 team members. 2 of them came from 90 Day ABA as well.
Love it.
One of them has been with me for 2 years, and the other one has been with me for 1 year. And yeah, so we're on the up and up, and now I have like a good base structure of my business 3 years in, and now we're focused on like scaling, adding new services and products. I just launched like the education arm of my business, and now I'm doing like group programs and one-on-one coaching, and it's been a wild ride. So we are fully a full service social media agency with a coaching side right now.
And what are the kinds of things that first question. How many clients do you have now?
So right now we have, I want to say 9 full service agency clients. And then it's a group program. So there's about 10 in a 3-month group coaching program that I have right now. And then I have like, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4 one-on-one clients that are on different like start and end dates and packages, and more to come.
Yeah. And what are the kinds of things that you think attributed to your success from the time period where we kind of left off, where you were like, yes, I got my first clients, I got paycheck in here, all the way to like now where you have 9 or 10 clients, you have all these things. What are the kinds of things that you think helped you get there? Because 2 years is a really short time frame.
Thank you for saying that. Because, I feel like we constantly compare ourselves to other people and we feel like we're always behind. But I think,
but I want to put that in perspective for you and everybody else who might be watching and listening. And sorry to interrupt you. have you ever heard of someone in a corporate world going from 0 to 6 figures in 2 years? Or like starting at a minimum, like a 40K a year, 50K a year role?
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, it is wild, the leaps and bounds that and the fast acceleration that you can make.
yes.
That hasn't necessarily ever been like a goal of mine. So I want to say that for the people that are like, but that's not like money is not my biggest driver. Maybe they're just looking for like time freedom or location freedom or whatever freedom means to them. Well, I am very proud of like my metrics, right, on paper and the financial success that the agency has garnered to now. I was very much like a slow and steady beats the race kind of person. I wanted to do things right. And I think what led to that is really just like not giving up, because it does get effing hard. And just when life and your business feels like it's gonna just swallow you whole, maybe that means take a pause, take a beat, take a breather, literally physically go outside and take a break. And I can't say that I have suffered burnout, but I definitely have felt overwhelmed, but I just didn't give up. I just took a break and I kept going, because you have to be really clear of what your goals are and why you are doing this, right? Because if you don't have like a clear guiding light as to what direction you are going or why this is important to you, right? It can't just be make a lot of money or do this. Like it also requires a certain mindset and a lifestyle. Like to be an entrepreneur is definitely like a lifestyle and a mindset as well, right? Because it's not going to get easy if not everybody would be doing it, right? So I think and I say this out loud to also remind myself, because every once in a while we're human and we could feel like, wow, this is hard, like let's just go get a job. And then you're like, no, you did this for a reason and you have goals and you're going to continue going after them.
Yeah, and I always like to say, like, okay, well, pick your hard. Is it that you want to go into a job again and you want to do that and get 2 weeks a year on vacation pay? Is that how you want to do it? Do you want to go? I'll do this to myself. I'm like, do you want to go back to teaching, which you loved, but you were exhausted and you had no time. You didn't even have weekends. And then I'll be like, okay, never mind. You're right. That was way harder.
Totally.
I'm just gonna take the day off because I can, and I'll tomorrow.
Yes, and I remind myself that. And even in like my partner now, when I tell them, like it's been really hard, they'll be like, but didn't you like randomly take off Wednesday and Thursday last week and like we went scuba diving? And I was like, yes, we did. And this is why I do this.
Yes. You're right. It's interesting. You're right. Doing the entrepreneur journey as a VA, which you don't have to, you can just like work for one, maybe two clients, and that's can be all you do. But when you decide to grow, and again, it doesn't have to be about the money either. The money part of it is amazing, but when you're running an agency, like you have to make that much money so you can pay people like and take a salary. So it's not like, I don't know how much you are able to take in salary, but it's usually not what the top line revenue of the actual agency is. But that's not what you care.
Yeah. And that's the part where I am now, it's like, I want to give myself a raise. So if I want to give myself a raise, Liana, these are the metrics that we're trying to hit. And yeah, and it's, it's all a work in progress, because what is that saying? Like new level, new devils, right?
Oh,
so yes, I heard that.
And the self-care and the keeping yourself from burnout becomes even more important, because you have a team that's depending on you and you have clients that are depending on you, and like your energy levels and your creativity and like your ability to be present and do a good job becomes so important. It's not the same as a job where you just show up, clock out, done. It's a different game. Way more fun, but different.
Yes, I agree. Like that's the hard that I picked, right? I knew from the beginning I wanted to build my agency, and that was the hard that I picked. And I do find it fun. Like I do wake up every day and I'm like, wow, this is so fun. Most days, right? Like, let's be real, we all have bad days, but most days I'm like, wow, like this is what I get to do today. Like I get to like collaborate with my team. I get to like work on social media, which is like not serious at all, right? It's like you're not curing cancer. Any kind of like serious jobs is not for me. And I love that. So I have to put that into perspective on the hard days.
I forgot that. Like I have loved showing up to work, walking down these steps and coming to this office for the last few years, but wherever I was, every day I'm excited to work. Like I love spending time with my baby, but I'm also like, oh, Nanny's here. Bye. I get to go to work. Like I love it. And you're right. Most people do not have that. I forgot.
And it's fun to build something, right? And like even the hard days, it's like you're building something from literal scratch, right? From like zero, look, actually zero. And that feels so good to like be where I am now. And you know, I have bigger goals that I want to try to reach by the end of this year. And it's fun to reach those. You know, it's fun to like what is it, like the journey? So many sayings. It's about the journey, like the journey to my next goal, right? Because once I get to that goal, there's gonna be another goal, and I have to keep going and going and going.
Yes. Okay, so we've kind of like talked a lot about people who might be a little bit more entrepreneurial. But in general, who are the kinds of people that you think would be a good fit for this type of career adventure or for a 90-day VA type of program?
Yeah, I think people that the word freedom is important to them, right? Whatever that could mean to them. Like I mentioned previously, like it could be time freedom, you know, to work the hours that you want to work, right? Because if you are working as a contractor for someone else, you're still a business owner, right? Your VA business, even if you're a single VA, you set your times and when you work and what you agreed upon. So to have like control over that, if that's important to you. Location, right? We know a lot of VAs like to be nomadic and move around if that's something that's, you know, important to you. And just the freedom to choose like and prioritize your mental health. So I really resonate with that word for, you know, if you have to take the day off or you want to take the day off. So I think people like that, it would definitely serve to like take the risk and bet on yourself, right? And see what happens, right? You can always go back to what you were doing before. So if you a little bit of a risk taker and want to bet on yourself, you appreciate freedom, and you can really build and scale this to whatever you want. If you just want to have a couple of clients and that is what works for you, cool. If you want to scale to an agency and take the route that I did, cool. So there's like so many different paths that you can take.
It's such a cool career option. I always say it's like being a virtual assistant, at least in the beginning, it's really like you can choose the traditional job route, or you can choose the business owner route, or you can kind of just like do your thing. It's kind of this weird in between thing, but you can make it whatever you want, like what you said, and expand and grow it however you like.
If you want variety, right? Because you can have clients in such different industries and see like the behind the scenes of their business. You can learn and grow so much. That's one of the reasons like I love social media, because I don't niche down to like any kind of niche, but it's so interesting to be like in the behind the scenes of people's businesses and kind of see how they run. And it's just fascinating that you can kind of be a part of a larger team, because every business, you know, most businesses need social media nowadays.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, we all hate doing it.
Yeah.
This was super duper helpful. If people have questions about the virtual assistant journey, do you have like an Instagram or somewhere they can connect with you?
Absolutely. Yes. If you have any questions about my journey or how the program went for me, you can reach me at Leedavi Social on Instagram or email me at hi@leedavisocial.
Amazing. I hope that some people will connect with you. And I just wrote it down so I could put it into the comments or the notes or whatever. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this was as encouraging for some of you as it was for me. I always love hearing your guys' stories, and especially the ones that are, I don't know, like you're just such a go-getter and you just went for it. And I know that it was probably really scary, but you had so much, I feel like you learned to probably trust yourself a bit on this journey as well, and believe in your own abilities and stuff, which is a really cool part of it. So that was fun to hear about.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to